John Kotter. John Kotter is one of the gurus in change management for decades already. That's where it came from. Okay, let me see apps. And this guy, McPherson, he wrote this book, Project to Product. This is one of his famous sayings: "Those who master large-scale software delivery will define the economic landscape of 21st century." And when you see this, then you automatically think of Tesla, SpaceX. I mean, they're doing it massively. So that's why they also they define this economic landscape. The basis for it are a couple of technological revolutions in the how you look at it is like this. We have, let me change my pointer. We have first an installation period, then we get a turning point, and we get a deployment period. So in the installation period, new technology and financial capital combine to create what they call the Cambrian explosion. A Cambrian explosion is, in geological terminology, a relatively short time over which a large diversity of life forms appeared. So relatively, because sometimes it takes 1 million years. Yeah. So the turning point is where existing businesses either master the new technology or decline and become relics of the last age. And you have the deployment period where production capital of the new technological giants starts to take over. So that is how they make this, visualize this. We have first the Industrial Revolution, that's starting installation period in 1771, turning point in 1793 till 1801, and then after that, the deployment. And we have the age of steam and railways starting in 1829, turning point in 1848, and after that, the Victorian boom. This technological revolution of steel and heavy engineering started in 1875, turning point 1890, and then the deployment period. That's where we also have about the oil and mass production, the 20s of last century, the turning point just well between in the 2 world wars and the post-war golden age for the deployment period. And this one is very interesting, starting somewhere in 71, .com and internet mania. I was there when my first email I have sent my first email in, I think, 1989. And people were with, I had a modem, a 1200 baud modem. I'm not sure whether you know this term about 1200 baud. And then we have the turning point somewhere in 2000. And well, let's see how this deployment period will look like. Can I ask you a question? Can you put in the chat, have you done already something with Agile? Just write it. No, let me rephrase that. If you talk about Agile, how do you consider yourself? Are you never have done, a bit intermediate, and advanced? One of the three, please. Just write it in the chat, then I also can have an idea of who my public is.
Silahkan teman-teman tulis di chat pengetahuan teman-teman mengenai agile, beginner, intermediate, atau advance.
Oke, oke. Pak Bondan, beginner and agile. Pak Ahmad, intermediate. Pak Marcel, middle. Okay, beginner. Okay, so I see that mostly at the beginner part, one intermediate. That means that have if any one of you work with agile at scale? Okay, okay, Michael, agile at scale. No one else? Okay, no problem. So this is about agile at scale. Later on, we will see. What I'm trying to do first is just show an impression what SAFe is, what it covers. Scrum of Scrums. Okay, great. So at least, well, maybe interesting, Pak Bondan. Nexus, okay. Okay, Pak Ahmad also worked with Nexus. And did you go till the portfolio level? Because that would be interesting. Nexus portfolio. Okay, great. So, okay. I've never have done a Nexus, but I think I will. It's on my list, a to-do list. So okay, so maybe we can exchange some ideas, Pak Ahmad, later on. Okay, cool. Because the nice thing about SAFe is it covers the complete line. It goes from a strategy into execution. So you can see the complete how it aligned all together. Okay, let's go further with this one. As you see here in the installation period, oh yeah, that we already talked about it. The financial combined, the Cambrian explosion, the turning point, and the deployment period. And this is where we are today, not completely named yet. And even the turning point, people, there are disagreements about where is the turning point exactly, because it goes so gradually that you almost cannot point to a certain point in time. The stage we are in, I mean, these days the car market is very much the development over there is huge. I mean, I see even Tesla, although Tesla doesn't see itself as a car maker, they see themselves as a software company. I mean, they are smaller. They have a larger capital market than a Ford, right? And this one is the third one is even more interesting. I mean, if we talk about watches, we used to talk about Swiss watches. But these days, Apple is the biggest watchmaker. And the book we saw before of Mick Carson, he did a study at BMW. And we see that they are developing very fast as well. Although these days, I think Volkswagen is a bit further than that. Yeah, it's Also a very famous remark by Mick Carson of the book we saw before. And this one is John Kotter. This is his latest book, Accelerate. And this book is describing the dual operating system, which we will talk about later on. And it is the basis of the whole organization around SAFE. What SAFE didn't mention enough, but these days they are trying to catch up, is that SAFE is in fact built on value streams, and value streams is lean, and it's the same basis of DevOps, the same scope as DevOps. And that's why SAFE is also built on DevOps. This John Kotter is very famous for his change management, and this book is some people sleep on it under its pillow. And where he described, in fact, how it all happened. When a startup, this is how a startup starts. I mean, no formal stuff. It's a network of people. Everything is fluid. One day you do this position. The other day you do something else because it's just evolving. That's how a startup also grows. I mean, it gets bigger and bigger. And at a certain point, they add some hierarchy in it for stabilization. They add specialists. We have departments. You get policies and procedures to ensure legality and compliance, and to drive repeatable, cost-efficient operations. That's where the hierarchy comes in, right? So it has its function. But in doing that, what happened then, that the same hierarchy which makes sure that you have a stable operation, it's also killing entrepreneurship. It's very difficult to move a company forward because you have this function-oriented organization. So the fast-moving stuff is out of it. It's all becomes slow. And what happened in this process is that the network we saw before, this one, it got crushed and just disappear. And then we have this kind of moloch, which is hard to move. So change becomes very difficult. So what John Kotter also proposed is, if you know what the problem is, because that's what people were thinking, the problem is the hierarchy, get rid of it. He said, no, the solution is not to trash what we know and start over, but instead to reintroduce a second system on which would be familiar to most successful entrepreneurs. So meaning that you can move everywhere, things are more fluid. So reintroduce that into your hierarchical organization. That's what you try to do with SAFE. So that's why he also say we need a dual operating system for business agility. So the hierarchy for efficiency and stability, and the network organization for speed of innovation. Right? So SAFE is a framework that doesn't bash hierarchy. Because, I mean, that's it. I mean, let's be real. You just, because the hierarchy has a function as well. So the how they do that, Well, we have here on the right side still the functional hierarchy, and on the left side, a value stream network. That is where you have this network, right? A network of value streams. And we'll talk later more in detail about these value streams. We have the value stream and this continuous delivery pipeline for DevOps, continuous exploration, continuous integration, continuous deployment, and release on demand. Questions so far? No? All right. So far, I haven't. I'm not sure. This one, every business is a software business now. I cannot imagine there is a company not being busy with software, not using software. I can't imagine that. So, but maybe there still is. Of course, in the kampong where you have this little tokos, but maybe they also have computers so to take care of their inventory. This guy, Dean Leffingwell, is the creator of Safe. He's rich now since Safe is the largest used framework in the world, according to Gartner and a lot of that kind of organizations. So, business agility. By the way, Mas Meiko, if you are interested in a copy of this presentation, ask Mas Meiko, and he will take care of that.
Yeah, I will send you if after this.
Okay. Business agility requires technical agility and the business level commitment to product and value stream thinking. And that means, and I cannot emphasize this enough, it requires that everyone involved in delivering business solution use lean and agile practices. This is one part in which a lot of companies fall into the trap. They think, okay, we have some people trained, it's okay, we can do Safe, but then they realize it's not enough, but after a while, because but then already a lot of damage is already done. Yeah. So make sure that everyone is involved delivering in this, use lean and agile practices. So train them. And it doesn't need to be very expensive. For some positions, I can imagine that you train the people to do official training, to do exam and so on. But usually a lot of people don't need the examination. The examination is just because it's quite expensive. The examination is just some proof on paper that you master the subject. But you can master it without a certificate, right? But that's up to you. So if you look at the business solution, the business solutions, we have the digital systems, the software applications using Agile, Lean through the enterprise, and this is these are the how do you say that? The areas in which you can use it in development, finance, people, marketing is new these days, legal, operation, and so on. Yeah. So you can all combine this into your complete operation because they are already there. These departments are there. This is the big picture of Safe. You see Safe in several levels. Usually you start with this one, essential Safe. And usually you do that with an ART. An ART is ART, that is an agile release train. And what it in fact covers is usually also either a product line or a value stream. And you organize it like that. And we will see later on how to organize that. If you go further, you go big, then you have a large solution where more than one value streams you organize like that. And if we look at, for example, the roles on a team level, you have the Scrum Master, the product owner, and the team. And then for the on a coordination level, you have product management, system architect, or system engineer, and the RTE, that is the release train engineer. And in fact, the release train engineer, he drives the ART, the agile release train. Sometimes, if it is big, you have more ARTs, and then the large solution, and this and besides the release train engineers, because a release train engineer covers one ART, and if there are more ARTs, automatically, usually then there are more RTEs, and then you also have a solution train engineer. And instead of product management, because it covers more products, you also have a solution management and the solution architect or solution engineer. And then on the portfolio level, which you can have as well, either including the essential SAFe or even with the large SAFe, and then you also have this, and so that forms the big picture of SAFe. We will look at the individual components of it. Questions so far? Because this is a very complex, there is so much information here. You can, even with this, only with this picture, I can talk a couple of hours. So I can, let's see, because I think after this presentation, you will have a lot of questions. Feel free to drop an email and ask the question. I can go into it, and if there is enough demand, maybe Mas Maiko can organize another webinar to go further into this. Yeah, I'm happy to facilitate that as well. SAFe, the world's leading framework for business agility, according to, I think, Gartner and so on. I'm not very impressed with it. SAFe at a glance, yes, there's a lot of people doing it. But on the other hand, if you look at LinkedIn or whatever media, there is a lot of criticism on SAFe. So beware of that. I'm a bit agile agnostic. I don't sell frameworks. I use only those things that I think it fits the organization. And I also even use other stuff besides this. Because, for example, just with portfolio management and OBEA and OKR, you can go to the Scrum level. You can create alignment. You can. So there is not only one way. And I think Nexus does that as well. And even, I'm not Shalloway, what is this guy name? There is this guy who had so much critics on SAFe and Scrum that he created also his own framework, Flex, and I think that's lightweight. It's more lightweight because what you can say about SAFe is it's about heavy, and usually also a bit expensive. But hey, If you make money with it, you don't care, right? These are more like things you can find out about SAFE. Well, it's so popular. We also have a list which you can get from Masmeco as well, of all the companies with their success stories. And it's their story. It's not SAFE story. SAFE just collect all those success stories. On the other hand, you can look at it a bit. You might be suspicious about it because the Japanese, they have a saying: if you put makeup, you put it on your face, not on your behind, right? So a lot of times it looks nice from the outside. It's just because it's their face. When you don't spend millions and say, well, this doesn't work. I'm sure there is a saying about that in Indonesian as well. In Japanese, they say, na pupuran rupane ora silite. Right?
Yeah. Nek pupuran neng rupane, ora neng
Yeah.
silite.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, I'm Japanese, born in Suriname. That's why I speak a little bit ngoko. Let's look at the 7. I mean, every time there is a new version of SAFE, they define more competencies. And one thing about SAFE, in terms of number of resources for each of SAFE, how much resources can that accommodate? Or another way, how many Scrum team is ideally in one art? How many art and solution trade? Okay. One art, Pak Bondan, to go into your question, usually, I mean, if you have 3 Scrum teams, I don't see why you need SAFE. So that's why SAFE, they say that if you have more than 5 teams, then maybe you can use some components of SAFE. Why is that? Because from time to time, what SAFE actually does in an agile release train is take care or organize, give a structure to deal with dependencies between teams, because usually that's one of the difficult stuff. And if it's just a simple dependency, it is what SAFE also use is also a scrum of scrums. That's where the dependencies are covered. You have the scrum of scrums, but you also have the art sync, the PO sync, where the different product owners also have a place where they discuss this, and where the dependencies and how do you say that, where the business is taken care of, and where they discuss whether the goals for this product PI will be reached, and whether there are dangers, and deal with risks. That's how they do that, Bondan. And and how big is an art maximal? An art is maximum. They have a recommendation of between 50 and 125. Why is that? Because I'm not sure whether you heard about the Dunbar number. A Dunbar number, apparently, according to studies, you can work good together and know people well enough with about 125 people. Think of it as also the organization of Indonesia and RT, RW, and so on. So in the RT, everybody knows each other. We can work together. In RW, maybe a little bit because it's a lot. I mean, how many households is RW, Paiko? Approximately?
One RT is around 50 houses, and one airway is consists around 10 to 15 RT.
RT.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can, oh, okay, good. So I think for Indonesia, I think I can use this example as well. An RT is an art, agile release train, that big, and an RW is a solution train consisting of many arts. Does that answer your question? Oh, how can be combined with the rest of the traditional structure in the organization? Well, SAFE itself doesn't say anything about it because what they don't do, they don't break silos. If silos get broken, then as a result of that, I mean, they take it for granted, but it's not the intention. So what happens is that, for example, okay, the yeah, well, you can see with lean, for example, with lean portfolio management, and then you see that how budgeting goes and so on, because you don't break the finance department. And for marketing part, there is a special track for that. I mean, you don't break the marketing department as well. But according the complete the idea behind is that you have the dual operating system, you have the hierarchy, and you have the value stream going through all the hierarchy, through all the departments. That's the whole idea. These are the 7 core competencies. And we start with lean agile leadership, team and technical agility, agile product delivery, and when you're talking about essential SAFE, then you're talking about these 3. In fact, with the customer center 4. Customer centricity, it's in everywhere, right? Because this is the part where got lost in the growth of an organization. A startup, you think very heavily about the customer, and when you get the departments, you get the silos. The only thing people are thinking of is how do we do things well, and then they forget the customer because they are thinking about keeping themselves alive and leaving the customer. Anyway, these are the 7 core competencies, and then you have the enterprise solution delivery. We'll talk a bit about all of them. So, why lean agile leadership? And I'm not sure whether you noticed that, but SAFE is mixing lean and agile. And these days, I think also Scrum is adopting some things of lean. I mean, these days, Scrum also talks about flow. Flow is a typical lean stuff. And why? This is very important because only the leadership, only they have the authority to change and continuously improve the systems. At the work floor, you can work agile. Usually people are usually they use Scrum and so on, but they don't have enough authority usually. So if you start bottom up, it's a bit difficult. I mean, I've seen that. I've also seen, I've been with the organization, I came in and they started this agile journey already for 1.5 years. And the only thing they had was, do you see this picture behind me? That is operating model according to Gartner. So they decided to have a new operating model, going agile and so on. So Gartner did a study, and operating model itself, it's from someone else. I forgot his name. And almost all consultancy firms, they have their own interpretation of this operating model. And this one is specific to Gartner. So besides Gartner, you will not see it. A couple of elements come every time it comes back, but this is how Gartner did it. And when I talked with people below sea level, when I started, they asked me about this operating model. They said, hey? I mean, they are basically for 1.5 years with this operating model. I come in and then they ask me about the operating model while I don't know anything about this particular operating model. So I had to dive in it into the theory behind the operating models, going completely back to the value chain of Porter, and the business model canvas as we know since this century, and how it mixed together and the fit of it. Anyway, that was not okay. I see here, Marcel, in Scrum, we knew about sprint review. In English, we need UAT, which is the way we do it was same with sprint review. We invite stakeholder, and we are not lean. If we do so redundant. Why
UAT
is it
is the
redundant?
user acceptance test, Pak.
Oh, acceptance test.
Yeah.
Like that. Scrum guide is 18 pages. Like that. So it is minimal. It doesn't say what you cannot do. If you have activities which helps you in the Scrum to do it right, I mean, it's open, so it's not redundant. I mean, Scrum is so open, you can add a lot of stuff in it as long as it helps you.
Halo, Pak.
Okay.
Yes, I mean when the stakeholder we invite twice, maybe they can reject it because this is redundant. We invite for the sprint review and we invite for the UAT. UAT it means user acceptance test.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, can. On the other hand, I mean, isn't it part of the demo?
Yes. In every UAT and sprint review, we demo the incremental packaging. So for the last merging for the repository after the sprint has done, we demo it for the product owner, for the stakeholder, and maybe the real customer.
Yeah.
But for the issue is the UAT and the sprint review is same.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's same. The invite, the attendance is same. The demo application is same. For the question is it lean? Because it's the redundant. It means we don't the lean.
Yeah. It's something like waste. Yeah.
Yes. Wasting time, wasting resource.
Yeah.
Mas Marcel, can I ask you why? What is hold you to combine it?
Yeah.
Not combine, Pak. Just we need to simplify. Maybe just one event. Maybe just UAT because this UAT is some protocoler in Indonesia. Example is OJK. For banking, the OJK have the policy. If we want to go to the production, we must pass the UAT.
Yeah. Ya,
And you call it
apa yang
UAT as
menahan
well.
apa yang menahan Mas Marcel untuk tidak melakukan satu aja gitu?
Yeah. So you don't get rid of it. You just call it sprint review/UAT.
Oh, okay. We just can do only one, ya, Pak.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
So you don't offend anyone with that.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Pak.
Welcome. A good suggestion, Mas Michael. You see that this is what can help organization. For example, in this transformation, when people are working with change advisory board, we don't say you get rid of the change advisory board. Our structure of information giving, coordination, we have this type of meetings, and at a certain point, people were asking, why do we need another change board? I mean, we covered it already here. Okay, then you change the name of the meeting / change advisory board, and then it's okay, right? So you try to get leaner and leaner. Lean agile leadership. What is that? I mean, so that's why this is very important to remind yourself about the principles, the mindset, and the principles, because this is what it's all about. Everyone has to do this, but what is more important is the leading by example. You cannot, as a leader, you cannot say, let's do A. You are preaching to do A, but you don't do that as a person. You say, for example, the CEO says, we have to change. And often it means you have to change. I don't. And is an attitude which is not promoted by SAFE. You lead by example. And what's very important is the authenticity. You make sure that the decentralized decision making is promoted. These days, whatever manager you are, or what leader on whatever level, we expect that you have some emotional intelligence. You promote lifelong learning, and what you certainly do is growing others. As a leader, you are a gardener, right? You grow people. And that's how you lead the change. Question?
So you're saying that the leadership is what call it very crucial in this
Crucial.
transformation.
Yeah.
So
it's crucial because they are the one that can change the system, right?
yes.
The people itself cannot change the system. Why team and technical agility? Well, they create and support the business so that they deliver value to the enterprise customer. It's totally dependent on the ability of a team to deliver solutions and so forth and so forth. That's in fact, it's simple. Yeah, the team has to do it. Well, what are the components of this team and technical agility? And the reason why they also put this together like this is that somehow you can assess on every aspect. You have a question? Okay, no problem. Is the of it's going to lead to voting, or is it always going to majority voting? Okay, so this is about Pa Emil. This is a question about decentralized decision making. Voting. Well, you can do that. For example, at such a PI program increment event, what they do is also vote in the sense of are you confident we can achieve the goals we set for this program increment, and then they can choose a vote at 1 to 5. And what usually happens is if everybody say put a 3 or up, it's okay. And for the people who has a 2 or 1, we address that until we all have more than 3. Okay. On the other hand, and that's very interesting about decision making, because these days, are you aware of a sociocracy? In sociocracy, it is a Dutch invention in somewhere in the 70s. It's also about decision making, and there they introduced this concept of consent. And consensus is you do that when most of the people agree. Consent is when nobody objection. So and that's the difference. So that's why in a consent decision making trajectory, it's a bit longer, but then you know that nobody has objections anymore, which are stopping the decision. Why agile product delivery? Okay, you have to do this, even though, for example, even if you're doing Scrum and middle in the sprint, the product owner comes to the conclusion, these stories doesn't make sense anymore, and you just drop it, right? You don't say, okay, you have asked it at the start of the sprint, this, so we will deliver it. I mean, otherwise you will work on something which you will throw away, so that's also waste. So this is about product delivery. That's how you do that, because even though PI planning has a scope of about 3 months, you should be agile enough to drop things if it doesn't make sense, and put in your sprint things which you didn't anticipate before, but apparently it seems that it is ranked a bit higher than other features. I mean, you should be agile enough to do that. But on the other hand, you must also be aware that because there are product owners who don't think enough upfront, so every time they change their mind, because that's also waste. So this is the components of the agile product delivery, customer centricity, and there design thinking also comes in. Develop on cadence, so a certain cadence, preferably 2 to 4 weeks. Release on demand. This is a bit different, maybe, but just Scrum, because in DevOps, they do continuous integration and continuous deployment, right? So it happens continuously. It's just that often not every deployment leads to a release. So that's why we have a specific release on demand. And these days also, in fact, it becomes DevSecOps security built in. especially these days when, I mean, right now there is, at this specific moment, there is at least one DDoS attack happening in Holland. That was the Jumbo supermarket chain. I'm with KPN, so our it got monitored. So we saw, I mean, our engineers saw DDoS attacks. So why enterprise solution delivery? Well, you can read this. Requires innovation, experimentation, and the experimentation, that's where we also use the lean startup methodology. Also a nice book of Eric Ries. Defining and coordinating all the activities to successfully specify, design, test, deploy, operate, evolve, and decommission large complex solutions. And where it is important, we see that later in lean portfolio management, where we talk about investment in 3 horizons. Enterprise solution delivery, these are the components. Lean system solution engineering. With lean portfolio management, we go deeper in this stuff. Continuous delivery pipeline. And here, solution, we have more than one release train. So we coordinate the trains and suppliers. Supplier, for example, if you use supplier is also, it's also considered to be an art. So if you have suppliers and you have your own development, then you have already multiple arts, and then we are talking about a solution. So you need also a solution trained engineer. Why lean portfolio management? Well, the lean portfolio management, I think once Pondan did Nexus, well, it connects the strategy to the execution. And how you project your profit, success, and it's also a bit planning for growth. Lean portfolio management, this has 3 triangles, and it starts here with the strategy and investment funding. Who is there? You have enterprise executive, business owner, and you also have the enterprise architect as well. So that whatever idea the business owner has about implementing stuff on technology and things, the enterprise architect is there, where he can make sure that whatever the business wants, that it is almost viable. I mean, you cannot define a business using technology which isn't there yet. So you need to make a roadmap for that. That's the strategy and investment funding. We can talk, we'll discuss every triangle here. So strategy investment funding, this is the portfolio operations and the lean governance. Why organizational agility? Otherwise, you cannot respond sufficiently to challenges and opportunities. For example, when Corona hit the world, I mean, we did have a challenge, right? And you see that suddenly things change so fast that we can work safely from home. I go only once per week to the office. the components of the organizational agility, lean thinking people and agile teams. We have the House of Lean, we have the SAFE principles, and we have the Agile Manifesto. So this lean thinking people and agile teams built on this stuff. The lean business operations, this is a value stream. So we check the process time, delay time, and make sure that the delays are eliminated. And the strategy agility, you should be able to change strategy as need. Why continuous learning culture? This is also very important, because otherwise you become the next dinosaur. You have to keep learning as an organization, but also the people. So because organization is just a collection of people, so they should learn. Get personal mastery, team learning, mental model, system thinking, shared vision. This is our learning organization. Also, you see, everything in SAFE has a lot of documentation behind it, and often based on studies or experience of people who are authors of some books. So you can find, for example, a couple of books regarding this learner organization. Relentless improvement. This is something like constant sense of danger. I know people having problems with this, but this is in fact, this keep you on your qui-vive. I mean, if you're completely in your, always in your comfort zone, it's difficult to learn if you are always in your comfort zone. The only way to learn, the way to learn better is from time to time, step out of your comfort zone. Optimizing the whole, not just individual stuff. We're talking about system-wide changes. So don't look at just one part, look at in relationship to the whole. The innovation culture, innovative people, time and space. This IP stands for innovation planning. GO-C, that is go to the Gemba. Experimentation and feedback. This is the design thinking double diamond, and also the lean startup method. This is the lean startup method, the pivot without mercy or guilt, and innovation riptide, because the innovation comes from several sides, from left, right, up, and from down. So the innovation riptide, I think I can recall that this was an examination question. Where does it come from? Where it comes from below as well. Take the next steps. Let's see, we have some questions here. Pak Abdurrahman. Yes, Pak Abdurrahman. Mas Meiko will share the material. Oh yeah, Pak Mas Meiko already answered.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Kabul.
You're welcome. Apa
Nice
kabar,
to meet you.
Pak?
Baik, alhamdulillah. Pripun kabare, Pak Kabul?
Ya, saya, Pak.
Baik.
Saya. Nggih. Matur nuwun.
Oke, monggo, monggo.
Happy to see you here as well, Pak.
Yes. Okay. I'm happy to see you in this webinar. Nice topic, Pak Kabul.
Yeah, I think it's hot these days, yeah. And this is an implementation roadmap. This is how usually the SPCs do. And to be honest, I will start a new assignment in October. Yesterday I had an interview, and I see I talked to two management team members, and what I already sensed was that there was no such a path. So they are somewhere and now I'm hired to correct this stuff, because a lot they do work, they have PI planning and so on, but it's more like ritual. It doesn't how do you say that? It's the fluid combination of the stuff isn't there. So I think I will have a hard 6 months. So this is how you do it. You start usually, this is what there is, a waterfall, maybe some ad hoc agile, and then we start educate C-level. That's where we usually start, train people, and so on. You identify value streams and arts, create an implementation plan, you prepare, and this is how you execute your first art. And then you launch more arts. SPC stands for Safe Program Consultant. So you have more program consultants, you extend it, you create more, you launch more arts, and you extend it to the portfolio. This is how usually things are done. And they in this framework, we also have some like LACE, Lean Agile Center of Excellence. And maybe you've seen that also mentioned in the one of the triangles of the Lean Portfolio Management, where this group makes sure that people get trained, things get organized and stuff like that. So it has a function as well. Also, community, including community of practices as well. In Spotify terminology, they call that either guilds, a chapter, or guilds. Yeah. Sometimes SAFE just mention business results, so many percent up. I mean, just take it for as a notice. I mean, I usually don't believe these numbers like that. Okay, so assessment. You see all the components you saw. So it enables you to do the business agility assessment from time to time and see how your organization is growing. So you start with the teams, agile teams, and then like this, built-in quality, team of agile teams, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. And then you just score it, and then you can get the spider. If you see this, this is the steps you do. Create a high-level summary using the business agility assessment. Go deeper with the 7 core competency assessments. Analyze results and identify opportunities to improve. How to organize that? There are several ways to do that. I mean, you don't need to be a SAFE person to be able to organize this one. Configure SAFE to meet your needs. You see, this is very important. You have to configure it. You don't have to put it exactly like SAFE does. Just make sure that the reasons behind why SAFE is doing that, you remember that. And well, I would say make your own SAFE then. It should fit you. I mean, it's not something like you cannot go to the store and buy a jacket and it fits you all. Nope. Maybe you should go to your tailor as well and then make sure that it fits you. Let's see. So this is the SPC as a change agent. If you are interested in these trainings, Mas Meiko can provide that, except these two. I'm not qualified to do that. Oh no, 3. These 2 and this one. I'm not qualified to train RTEs. Maybe it will take time to do that. Scrum Master training, Advanced Scrum Master, government, but I wouldn't do that in Indonesia because I don't know government at all. DevOps, product owner, product manager, product management, agile product management, system solution enterprise architect, and lean portfolio management. Oh, this one as well. I usually teach this one first. And if you have a training in SAFe and you pay your dues, you have access to a lot of information on the SAFe platform. A lot. I'm not a partner of Skilled Agile because it costs a lot. And that concludes it. Questions?
Okay, thank you, Pak Kabul. So before we continue with the question and answer, I would like to ask all the participants to fill in the feedback webinar. And Pak Kabul, I would like to share screen a little bit.
Yes.
This is the feedback form that you can fill in. And I have a question, Pak Kabul, actually.
Yeah.
How to implement SAFe to get the true agility and not trap into the mechanical SAFe?
Well, yeah, that's a problem. There is no structure for that. It depends totally on the people, the SPCs who is doing SAFe. The best thing, how would I say that? Because you see, a lot of people, I mean, I know a lot of SPCs, they know SAFe. That's it. And it's like a carpenter. If you learn how to do with a hammer, work with a hammer, he will always use the hammer.
Yes.
Right? So
Yes.
if you choose an SPC, make sure that he knows different angles so he can be a bit more agnostic. So then he can see what can fit with the company. So and then he can go into a discussion with the stakeholders, right? So, and then that's the best way to not get stuck in this mechanical stuff.
Okay.
Because this mechanical thing is easy. I mean, you do this, you do that,
Right.
you do that, you do that, and then you think, okay, I'm agile. No, you're not agile. You are doing agile, but
Yes.
I mean, it's like Scrum as well.
Yeah. As we all know that I mean implementing Scrum for the mechanical is easy, but
It's easy.
very easy actually. But actually to get the true agility within the team level is also it's much difficult. And
It is.
even in the team level it's that difficult, so you can imagine how it's gonna be into the enterprise level.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I gave you an example, right, where I went in and they already were 1.5 years further with Gartner, and still they were not further. How? Because what I saw that even on the C-level, they didn't agree at all. So the change readiness of the C-level was not that high. And if that's not good enough, I mean, then it's better not to start at all because it won't work.
Yeah. Okay. So there is also another question from Pak Indra.
Yeah. Major
So
change.
yeah.
You mean the major difference, probably.
Major difference. Yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm on my. I still on driving now. Sorry, typo.
Awas ya, Mas. Driving
Gak apa-apa,
and
Pak. Udah di lokasi.
major difference.
Yes.
Well, the problem is I'm not familiar with Nexus and less just from hearing. Yeah. So it's difficult. What I can say is maybe if I tell what SAFE is, then maybe you can see the difference with the other stuff. SAFE is now let me rephrase that. Scrum leaves a lot of things open. That's why Scrum is just 18 pages long, the Scrum guide. SAFE has for every situation they have written something, and so it looks like a prescription, but you shouldn't take it as a prescription. You should take it as, okay, people have thought about this and this is how they solve it. They have solved it like this. But in your situation, maybe you should do it different. But then at least you know that this subject is already, someone already has thought about it. That's it. And I wouldn't use SAFE as prescribed. Yeah, it's not good. It won't do you any good. And that's the if I look at the comments and the critics about SAFE, it's because of that. People take it as a prescription. You should be first agile agnostic and think of the business first. I mean, what problem do I have to solve? And whether you use a hammer or a saw, it depends.
Can I add more, Pak?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. From my view is actually the major difference between SAFE, Nexus, and Less is Nexus and Less is product focus, and while the SAFE is business agility focus.
Business. Yeah. Okay.
Meanings that the Nexus and Less is more to build one product, while SAFE could be built multi products.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's one. The second thing is about the scaling itself. Nexus, if I'm not mistaken, limited to 7 teams. Less could be more, but still one product meaning that the organization is not as big as SAFE.
Okay.
And SAFE, it could be used from the medium organization into the very large organization consists of maybe 5,000, 10,000, or even more people. Yeah, and in SAFE, the what you call it, another major difference is in SAFE there is not only defining how the teams collaborate with another teams, but also it's also consists in how to budget it, how to not only products. I mean, it's more complete, comprehensive methodology. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pak Kabul.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Other questions?
Please, if there is still a question, We still have 2 minutes.
Uh,
If you can just unmute and ask. If there is no more question, then we can close this webinar. Oh,
okay, Pak.
yeah, Pak Marcel, Mas Marcel.
Yes. Pak Kabul,
Yeah.
can we know about what is the most important for we want to implementation safe from your side?
The most important part is the change readiness of the organization, and especially C-level. I mean, those are the people who can change the system. So, yeah, that's the most important part. And that's also where change management always starts,
So
readiness.
when the change level doesn't have change mindset, I think we cannot success implementation safe, right?
Enggak, it's difficult. And by the way, that's also a word I try not to use if we don't implement safe. I mean, I don't implement safe. It's, I mean, we are fixing a business. Implementation sounds so, it's mechanistic.
Yes, agree, Pak.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so basically, I think not only safe, all the transformation would not success even if the leadership is not support it.
No.
Yeah. Do you remember Pak Kabul on the Rumah Sakit Bungsu
Yeah.
in Bandung?
Yeah.
There is a story in Rumah Sakit Bungsu that when Pak Kabul and myself visit the Rumah Sakit Bungsu in year 2013, they implement Kanban, and they very success in implement Kanban. Even the story is become worldwide. It's very success. And then in year 2000, I think year 2016, because of the agile coach went back to Sweden, and after he went back to Sweden, there is a new management within the new management in the company. They stop to use Kanban. Ya kan Pak? They stop to use Kanban kan? They stop to use Kanban, and then the hospital is declining again. So every transformation, it should be supported by leadership. If your leadership is not support you, then there is a chance that your transformation won't success.
Fail.
Yeah.
And sometimes, even because where I was, there was a management team. Besides the director, was management team of 7, and they didn't agree. So if the management team doesn't agree, you don't have focus, and if you don't have focus, you don't change.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science, in fact.
Yeah.
On the other hand, why I also mentioned that if you bring in SPC, bring in someone who has a broader look. For example, these days I'm very interested, and I use appreciative inquiry. I'm not sure whether you heard about it. Appreciative inquiry.
Appreciative. It's kind of the inviting leadership.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Appreciative. But it's a bit bigger than that. The PDF drive has a lot material on that.
Okay. Okay, we'll.
So
Yeah.
the in fact is if you say people by default emotionally react better when they feel good. When do they feel good? Is when you say, "Hey, you're doing very well," and but I have a suggestion. Maybe that can work even better. So at least you put the person in a position where he feels good and is listening to you and maybe acting on that as well. But if you say that that's not good, the first thing what happens is this person react because it comes as a negative thing. The people react on that, and emotionally they already resist you. So this is one of the appreciative inquiry. I use it a lot these days, combined with strengths. I mean, I approach people using their strengths, right? Because if you're using your strengths, you also you look positive into it, and you can succeed also a bit better. That's why I say I'm a gardener. I grow people.
Yeah. So there is one more question from Pak Abdul Rahman. Pak Abdul Rahman, yeah, you can unmute.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Meko and Pak Kabul.
Yeah, Pak.
Pak Kabul, you just mentioned just now that in lean portfolio management, it related to change management too, yeah.
Yeah.
That change management discipline, it will be part of lean portfolio management. Is it correct?
Well, it is part of everything.
Change management.
Yeah.
Yeah, change management is part of all dimension in lean portfolio management.
Yeah, but also on a team level, Pak.
It also in team level.
Yeah.
Okay. How to implement change management in corporation wide or in enterprise wide or in team building for lean portfolio management? Maybe you can explain more detail, Pak Kabul. How to implement change management, in enterprise wide, for lean portfolio management.
Well, in fact, if you do this kind of projects, usually people don't use the word change management, but that's what you're doing. It's a journey from you know where you are and you know where you want to be. So, and in order to get there, you have to change. That's why a lot of management consultants look at this specific stuff as being a culture issue, because the culture is how do they define that is how the way we do things around here. And what you're trying to do with your transformation is having people behave different to be there, right? So in every transformation, because it's also a lot about people, what you want to do is you want to impact their behavior to be business-wise on another level. So it is change management. It's just they don't mention it at all, but it's definitely part. If not, it's probably the biggest part.
Well,
and the technical part, I mean, it's mechanical. That's not a problem.
Well, actually, Pak Abdul Rahman, the simple way to do the change management is to measure the ADKAR level.
Okay.
Measure the ADKAR level as a base, where the lack of the in the ADKAR model. In the sit in the A, in the D, in the A, or in the key. So you have to do what you call it, uh, more focus on the lack of the situation in the
The
ADKAR.
gap analysis.
The gap analysis, yeah, and make the what you call it, the recipe, how you gonna solve it in the ADKAR model. So that's the simple way, because if but the most important thing in change management is actually, especially in organization change management, is actually aligning the leadership. If the leadership not aligned, then the change will go, I mean, not in the same direction. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pak Kabul.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, like the example I had, we have 7 MT members, and they all went like this. So, will not work.
Okay, thank you, Pak Kabul and Pak Meko, for your explanation.
Sama-sama,
Welcome,
Pak.
Pak.
Yeah. So I think it's already 11:40 in Jakarta, and in Parabul is almost 7 AM.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's time for you to take a breakfast, maybe.
Still early. Still
Still
early.
early, okay.
Still early.
Yeah. So one more question, maybe, if still there is a question.
I mean, you can ask a lot of. I mean, I've reserved 2 hours for this, so
Oh,
those 2 hours are still. You can ask anything. Yeah. Regards back, Emil.
Again, appreciate if you could fill in the feedback in link that in the chat. Okay, so I think no more question. Thank you, Pak Kabul, and really appreciate
welcome.
that it's very early in the morning for you. Start from 5 o'clock in the morning. So thank you everybody for your participation in this webinar. See you around, and thank you for filling the feedback. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. I will end this.